In the shadows of New York's skyline, a family turned illegal rackets into a fortune shaping construction, unions, and the streets themselves. This is the story of the Gambino crime family, how they got rich, how they ruled, and how it all fell apart. What is a crime family? In the American Mafia La Cosa Nostra, a family is a criminal organization, not a bloodline. The Gambinos are one of the 5 families that dominated organized crime in New York. Their money came from extortion, illegal gambling, loan sharking, labor racketeering, bid rigging, and more, often using threats and violence to control markets. Origins and the Gambino takeover. The roots go back to the early 20th century with the Mangano family. After boss Albert Anastasio was murdered in 1957, Carlo Gambino took control. Quiet and strategic, Gambino steered the organization towards steady, low-profile profits, growing influence over unions and businesses across the city. How the money flowed, rackets and unions. The big money was in control. The Gambinos and allied families infiltrated unions and industries, especially construction, trucking, and the waterfront. By controlling which companies got contracts and which job sites stayed peaceful, they extracted kickbacks and taxes from businesses. They also ran illegal gambling and loan sharking high-interest underground lending enforced by intimidation. In the 1970s and 80s, mob control of New York's concrete industry became notorious. Law enforcement later proved that mafia bosses coordinated bids and manipulated large construction contracts, what investigators dubbed the Concrete Club. Paul Castellano and the white-collar pivot. After Carlo Gambino died in 1976, Paul Castellano took over. Castellano emphasized white-collar rackets, focusing on construction, food distribution, and business fronts. He tried to keep the family away from drugs, at least publicly, while extracting money from every layer of commerce the family could touch. But Castellano's reign ended violently. On December 16, 1985, he was assassinated outside Sparks Steakhouse in Manhattan, a brazen hit that cleared the way for a new leader. The Gotti era, fame and downfall. John Gotti took control. Charismatic, stylish, and press-savvy, he became the Teflon Don after beating early cases. But his high profile drew intense federal attention. The FBI bugged his headquarters, the Ravenite Social Club, and captured tapes of Gotti discussing family business and murders. In 1992, Gotti was convicted of murder and racketeering under RICO and sentenced to life in prison. It was a watershed moment in the government's war against organized crime. After Gotti, pressure mounts, fortunes shrink. After Gotti, the family never regained the same power or income. Successive leaders, including Peter Gotti, faced convictions for racketeering and extortion. In 2011, the Justice Department announced one of the largest coordinated mafia takedowns in U.S. history, charging nearly 130 individuals across the 5 families, many tied to labor racketeering and gambling. How big was the money? It's hard to measure exact profits from a secretive enterprise, but prosecutors and historians estimate that at its height, the Gambino family and its rackets generated hundreds of millions of dollars annually through monopolies in construction and trucking, plus gambling and loan sharking. The wealth wasn't a single bank account. It was a stream of cash from controlled markets, siphoned through kickbacks, no-show jobs, and shell companies. The last echoes. Even in the 2010s, headlines popped up. A reputed boss, Frank Cayley, was shot dead on Staten Island in 2019, but today's Gambino organization is a shadow of its former self. RICO laws, wiretaps, flipped insiders, and relentless federal pressure dismantled the system that made the family rich. The Gambino story shows how power and money grew from corruption at the edges of everyday life: construction sites, loading docks, card rooms, and how the law caught up. It's a lesson in how secret monopolies can shape a city and how they end.